All right, thank you for holding, everybody. Here we go. I'm going to introduce you to our first panelist and speaker. His name is Barry Davis, Mr. Barry Davis, and he is the often imitated but never duplicated expert and person that will be taking us through and hosting us for the rest of the time. So, Barry, are you on?
Freddie, I'm on. Hello,
All
everyone.
right.
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone around about the globe. It's really cool to have so many people on today. Freddie, I owe you a small fortune for that introduction that you gave to me. I'm Barry. I'm based out of the UK. I'm actually sat here in Manchester. It's getting slightly dark, but the good news is I'm a couple of hours away from the pub, being Friday afternoon and all. So what we're going to go through today is the GeniusLink Expert Operating System, and this is part of our webinar series. And today we're really going to put a spotlight on the precision business insights that we have. And we have a featured partner, 10X. These are a great bunch of folks, and we're very lucky to have the CEO and the COO on the line today. I'm going to whiz through the agenda really quickly so you get an idea of what we're going to cover. As Freddie said, it's hopefully going to be a little bit interactive, so please do share your comments, your questions in the chat window, and we'll make sure we cover those off as well. So the first thing we're going to look at is the gig economy or the crowd economy, in addition to the GeniusLink Expert Operating System. So we're going to explain what that is, how that works, and how you can access it. And then we're going to drill in a little bit onto one of the modules or services of the operating system, which is outcomes as a service. And we've got a really cool example for us to brainstorm together around product design and market testing. And then we're going to hand over to 10X. We're going to give some spotlight to the 10X guys. They're a featured partner. We work very closely with them. And then we're going to close out with the Q&A. So objectives for today, pretty simple. Get to know us, get to know GeniusLink and 10X, how you should think about these tools that are going to be available to you. We're going to look at some case studies and really kind of drill into how you might think about using these services for your problems. And then very simply, we're going to let you know how you could get started and how you could contact GeniusLink. So with no further ado, we're going to move straight into it. And we're going to spend just a couple of minutes just to get everyone grounded on the crowd economy. And the reason that we would do this is because it's one of those terms that gets thrown around quite often, and you might hear it referred to as the gig economy, the talent economy. There's many different references around what this actually is. So to debunk a bit of a myth, we're just going to go through how we understand this. And if you've had any experience with the crowd economy, you can feel free to pop that into the chat right now, and Freddie can relay that. But effectively what this is a growing pool of freelancers, service providers, and platforms. And what they do is they offer specialized services on a need-by-need basis. So this is a sector that's growing really fast, and it's starting to augment and complement traditional resourcing methods. It's quite hard to navigate, though. Its vendors are constantly evolving, and this landscape is moving as innovation takes place in industry. What we do see, though, is that it's becoming the backbone behind open innovation challenges, crowdsourcing, experts on demand, and freelance resourcing. So, sorry, my screen's just frozen there. Freddie, just a quick check. Can you still...
We've got a loading screen, so it's a white screen with the loading the new dancing beach ball. But as we're going in here, as that's loading, Barry, we did have a question that just popped in. They actually sent it to me privately, is talking about gig economy, asking, is Uber part of the crowd economy / gig economy? And so that could go to any of our panelists who would like to answer that.
Hey, Freddie, it's Diane. I can jump in and take that one.
Perfect.
Uber is a great example of the gig economy. It's one of the most iconic examples. It's more in the B2C space, and we'll be talking mostly today about B2B applications of gig resources and solutions. But it's a great example.
Awesome. And then we just got another one talking about somebody who had an experience, Jonathan, saying that he found a Excel guru that was able to make sense of 20,000 lines in a spreadsheet in 3 hours. That's kind of impressive. Thanks for the example, Jonathan. That's pretty impressive. And then we have a question on, so B2B, is that business to business, Diane?
It is business to business. Sorry to use that acronym. I will resist the urge to use those acronyms, but business to business is really the, we hear a lot of examples of gig economy as it pertains to business to consumer applications like Airbnb and Uber and Lyft, TaskRabbit, and the solutions that we'll be talking today are the application of gig economy resources and speed to business operations.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification on the B2B. So then I think that we are getting the pitch page thrown back in there and shared again here in a moment. Lisa, are you able to share the one that you have, please? And we will have this back up in a second here. But in the meantime, we have a large group of things coming at you. So looks like some other questions that I've got here are, okay, so then the other thing, or what are other things that we could, so somebody mentioned Excel, what are some other things that you can source in the gig economy? So that again is to all of our panelists. Thank you guys for taking the opportunity to ask these questions. That's good.
Yeah, this is great. Jeff?
Hi, this is, yeah, I don't know if this exactly addresses the question. I'll just answer quickly because I see we got the PowerPoint back up now. But a lot of, when you think about Uber and Airbnb and others, they're built on the idea that there's excess capacity of something out there that we can gain access to and share and thereby overall create value. And, where I think we're focused today on is the idea that there is excess capacity in the global brain, right? The global collection of knowledge and expertise is not being fully tapped. And I think what we're talking about here is how do we gain access to that excess capacity and use it, in this case, to address some really challenging business problems. So obviously Uber is about transportation. Here we're talking about much more complex needs, but the basic approach is the same. There's capacity out there, and we're about trying to find that capacity and direct it to that need as rapidly and sufficiently as possible. So you start to think of a lot of different things that operate in that space, but I think that's a really neat way to think about kind of the gig economy. So let me
no, that's great, Jeff. Thank you. I just learned more, I think, about the gig economy than I've ever learned before. So this is actually illuminating for me. So I think we've got Barry back, and Barry, we just kind of talked about the crowd economy and had some great examples about Uber and TaskRabbit, and then also that what we're focusing here on is business to business and kind of seeking out solutions that we could find out from the gig economy.
Blaming Brexit for the network outage here. I think everyone's blaming Brexit for everything, so that's my excuse. I'm sorry about that. I'm back. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a win-win concept. It gives companies the ability to tap into resources.
And Barry, I'm just going to cut in real quick. Your mic is real quiet, so if you are able to, thank you, Christina and Diane, for letting us know that he's super faint. And then Chaz says, Parking Panda is a parking app. Yes, we've got you back.
You've got me back. Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. All right. Yeah. So it's a win-win. It's a great for companies. It gives them resources they don't have access to. It allows you to shift direction pretty quick and bring skill sets in. And, it has a good benefit for the people inside that economy as well. It allows the top talent to rise to the top. Super flexible work environment for those giving services, and it levels the playing field. So you can get the best people regardless of where they are in the world. So as we think about the crowd economy, that's how we think about it. And then kind of to funnel down into a little bit more detail around GeniusLink. We refer to GeniusLink as an expert operating system. And, the gig economy, the crowd economy sounds pretty good, but as mentioned, this is expanding at a rate akin to a big bang. The talent universe is really evolving and growing, and mapping to it can be tough. So particularly as it follows a pattern in line with the next level thinking around innovation. And GeniusLink is a GE company, and it's providing service to both GE and external customers. And here on this page, you can see some stats around that platform. You know, I mean, who doesn't love speed, choice, and value when they're trying to solve their business problems? And when I first met Diane Finkhausen, who I think you heard from whilst my my network went down, she leads the service. I thought she was pulling my leg when she told me that she had access to 21 million experts. But having used the system myself and had a couple of interactions with the service, I can validate that. And these numbers really speak for themselves. This is a legit service. I think, you know, 50% on average quicker project delivery, 21 million experts, so much choice that come back based on your problem, and, you know, a huge amount of savings that's been generated through this system as we go through. So Freddie, just a real quick check, you can all hear me now, right?
We've got you very loud and clear.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, GeniusLink is available to folks inside and outside of the GE company. We call it the Earth's most powerful talent network on demand. You can think about this in relation to many of the big companies that are out there, and Diane and the team are really helping them solve their toughest challenges. And this is like a personal concierge to the crowd economy. Think of it as your concierge, your tour guide, your, I don't know, laser guided growth missile. And it's really simple to access. How it works: you literally send an email or give one of the team a call. There can be a real quick consultation to understand your plan, opportunities and challenges. Then we'll launch for you and we'll augment your path with the services and the benefits around GeniusLink. We'll find people to help you. We'll find services to help you and improve your performance. And then we plug the whole crowd in. So we'll engage our network of geniuses and providers, and effectively this is going to be giving you a solution for your toughest challenges. The end result really is a delivery on what you need to achieve. Again, I've used this myself for a couple of things. I can vouch for it, whether it's resources you need, go-to-market strategy, benchmarking. It's super quick, super effective, and it can really deliver. But, you know, wider than that, I think I'm delighted that we've got Diane Finkhausen on the line. She runs the platform and she's also GE's open innovation leader. Diane, you know, could you just spend a couple of minutes to talk to the team on the line today about the mission of GeniusLink?
Diane, I think you might be muted if you're talking. And while Diane is, yep, there she is.
Hi, yeah, thank you. Thanks, Freddie, and thanks, Barry. Yes, we have really designed, to Barry's earlier point, we've designed the service operation for speed and simplicity and impact. We have been helping literally hundreds of teams as their gateway to the gig economy. The services we provide really help operating teams augment, in many cases, their standard purchase services. So if you're working with suppliers, this is perhaps a quicker path to an outside expert or an outside solution. It's also perhaps a great way to augment your own team. So if you need surge or highly specialized resources, this is a great way to augment your own team, to connect in with validated, certified experts and solutions in a way that perhaps is much faster than you might be able to achieve with traditional approaches. We start with your plan, as you can see on the screen. We start with your plan in your context to make sure that we're augmenting rather than replicating. And then we design a game plan to really augment your plan with an expert OS, so that at the end of the day, you're walking away with better performance options and better performance. And then we connect you with the expert network, the crowd economy, so to speak. Whether you simply need an outcome or an expert, or if you need something digitized, we connect you in and we manage that through with you and for you, so that at the end of the day, you have better performance. So just think of the GeniusLink Expert OS as a way to augment your operations, augment your team, and drive greater speed, agility, and performance.
Good stuff. I actually have some questions from the audience here for you, Diane.
Great.
One of the was, how do you establish, verify if they really are experts in their field? That comes from Derek.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking, Derek. So very quickly, there are a number of ways that we certify and validate the expertise that we're working with, and more than we can go into during the webinar here. But think of it this way: there are multiple levels of controllership and governance embedded into this operation. So the experts enter the expert communities with an onboarding process that oftentimes will include background checks and validation of credentials. As the experts then bid on projects, perhaps you publish a project in the GeniusLink network and you're looking for help with a project, our teams and our partners, like the 10X team that you'll hear from today, spend a great amount of time ensuring that we're matching the right expert to the right problem for the right outcome. So we have a human layer of validation that that augments the documentation and the background checks, etc. And then finally, some of these expert markets also have ratings and reputation systems that you can see on screen. Back to you, Freddie. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That was incredible. We've got some questions flowing in for you now. I'm going to take two more, and then we'll kind of continue, and then we'll get back to those questions here in a minute. But one of the which is, so it's coming from David. Are all the experts GE employees, or are they consultants and contractors?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. The experts are, in many cases, outside of the GE organization. So the audience that is joining us today includes both our GE customers, our GE teams, and our external customers. So in any particular case, think of GeniusLink as, again, a marketplace of marketplaces. So we can match GE experts to GE experts for certain engagements. We can match GE experts to non-GE experts, and vice versa. We connect customers, external customers, with GE experts in some cases, and with the rest of the world. So we are effectively a marketplace of marketplaces that really is doing business without borders. That's a great question.
Perfect. And then the last question before we move on is coming from Mohan. It says, with 21 million, this seems like this talent cloud goes all the way from the lower level skills, for example, logo design, Excel, reporting, all the way up to maybe some higher, more knowledgeable skills, consultants, PMs, MBAs. Is that correct? That's
absolutely right. We've created, if you'll forgive me, GE team, we have created a digital twin of the GE organization. So we wanted to make sure that our expert network could support literally any business function that GE teams might need help with, whether that's virtual assistants or software design or advanced theoretical work on new product and new technology development. We can support your efforts.
Good to go. All right, so then I will hold some of the other questions. We've got a bunch coming in, so that's great. And we'll continue a little bit, and then we will come back for more Q&A here in a moment.
Hey, thank you, Freddie. Thank you, Diane. So we're gonna change up a little bit and move on through the presentation, and we're gonna go to an interactive section. So hopefully you're still with us and ready to join in a little bit. It's great that we've had some questions already on the chat, and we're gonna do a little bit of an exercise now to get you involved in some of the thinking. And Diane has framed this really well around what the GeniusLink service is, and this particular use case that we're looking at today, specific to 10X, is around product design, market testing, go-to-market, benchmarking. And what I'd like to invite the audience to do now is think about a time that you were starting something up. It might have been a new product, a new service. You were wanting to benchmark something, something that you never did before. And think about how that process went for you and what roadblocks or pain points or where you got stuck, what came up for you as you were going through that particular process. So please post those into the chat, and what Freddie's going to be doing as they come through is popping them up on the board so that we can talk to them. So last time you were trying to design a new product, test the market, benchmark, what were the problems that you encountered? So slow. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I mean, we're asked to move so fast today, right? Everything has to be delivered yesterday already. Businesses are under a lot of pressure, so speed is a huge element. So when we're doing these things, it can be super slow. What else have we got?
We've got another one coming up. It is expensive.
Yeah, it's prohibitive, right? Especially when you're on tight budgets and you've got to design something. We're so often pushed to really kind of bring something to the table that's going to make a difference, but nobody wants to pay for it. And then we've got the first step of assessing the current situations is very challenging. Yeah, so like, where do you start? What does the market look like? What does good look like? What's already out there? That's super difficult to work out, especially if you don't have access to all of those things at your fingertips, right? Really difficult. So these are some of the pain points, the roadblocks. Do we have any more coming through on the chat, Freddie?
We do. Somebody just sent me a Band-Aid solved it before I got my solution in place.
I think anyone that's ever worked in any company has heard about the Band-Aid scenario, right? So a sticky plaster over a problem, then you've got to undo all of the mess, and then when you're trying to design that new product or go to market, you've got to basically unwind everything. Yeah, absolutely.
And then we have another one, clarity of scope, so scope creep.
Yeah, super difficult. Everyone wants an arm and a leg added to the machine, and before you know it, you're designing to solve world hunger. So where are you going to find that guidance to give you like a laser pointed view on what's going to be effective in the market? Okay. So some pain points there. I think we've all been there when we're trying to get something started. Have we got anything else in there, Freddie?
Not from this particular. Oh, yes, we do. Developing a plan and assessing a critical path. Just popped in.
Yeah, critical path. That's super difficult, especially if you don't really know what you're going into. So look, just food for thought. These are things that can slow us down. These are things that can stop our success. These are things that will make life a little bit more difficult for us when we think about that product design. And if you think about the best scenario, conversely, if you think about product design, the dream state, market testing, super easy, what would that experience feel like? What would happen? How would it happen? What would the outcomes be? If you had the world at your fingertips, how would your life be significantly easier through that process of product design and market testing? We're just looking for some ideas, the dream state. It's Friday afternoon, we can all dream, we can all wish for the impossible. So Freddie, let me know when there's some coming through. But
we've got some, so I'll be popping them on here. We've got on-time delivery is one that just popped through. Fastest time to market. So Vishal said on-time delivery, and then Derek gives us fastest time to market. Yeah,
I mean, speed to market is critical, especially when the market's shifting all the time. And so many of these things run over, and it's super frustrating. So if we could just get there on time, if we could get quick to market, inexpensive, that's another great one, good value. So many times when we're looking at this benchmarking or market testing, we're paying the same big four expensive firms to give us recycled expertise, basically just what our competitors are thinking about last year, right? I think that's something that is a pain. And if we could have fresh insights to the market, cutting edge stuff, that would be good. Well, we don't have to hire them. That's coming in as well. Yep, you can use them on demand. You can use them for the time that they that you need them for, and that's it. And we've got one here around competitive product disruptive. So I'm not sure I fully understand that, but I think I guess what you're saying. You basically slot straight into the market. You disrupt your competitors' products. Wow, lots of interaction today. Scrapping bad ideas fast, but also being able to identify not good ideas fast enough. Yeah, that would be a dream state. All right, so I think you guys get the idea, and it's there's a lot of roadblocks and there's a lot of dream thinking around this. And that's where I want to start to, you know, kind of move us on in terms of the webinar today. We have an opportunity to hear from 10X. 10X and GeniusLink are partnering up to bring you this webinar today. And as we mentioned before, GeniusLink has 3 main modules that they deliver on. Outcomes of a service is the one that we're honing in on today. And, you know, GeniusLink have around 800 partnerships, but when it comes to precision business insights, they've developed this dynamic and brilliant partnership with 10X. We have Jeff, the CEO, on the line, and Andres, the COO. And I'm going to hand it over to Jeff just now to walk you through how to understand the value generated by this partnership. And Andres will share some examples of the success and impact. So, Jeff, over to you.
Great. Thanks very, very much, Barry and Freddie, for hosting, and for all of you for joining, and obviously the GeniusLink team for being such great partners with us. We've been working with GeniusLink for over 5 years. So this is a partnership that's been building and developing, and I think has shown a lot of impact. Let me just kick this off by giving you a very quick intro to where 10X came from. So 10X is a company that started about 8 years ago, and it really grew out of a collection of people with experiences in traditional consulting services. So our founder came from McKinsey. I worked at Deloitte for many years, and many of us, I think, recognize 2 things. One, that the needs and the demands for insights from our clients were becoming more targeted and requiring more depth of insight from sort of outside-in perspectives. And the second thing that we were quickly realizing is the traditional structure of professional services firms just couldn't adapt and provide those kind of more targeted, more rapid, oftentimes with actually more outside-in views than was typical, couldn't really provide that in a way that was both at the pace and at the kind of cost that a lot of our clients demanded. And so 10X was really started with the idea that there has to be a better way to deliver these critical insights that leverages the best of what's out there. You know, I talked already a little bit about the idea that there's excess capacity in the global brain. There are people all over the world with very specific and deep knowledge that may not be in your organization or may not be tied to the organization you reach out to. So how do we get those insights integrated into solving these problems? But how do we do it in a way that's very cost effective? So how do we use technology to identify those people, and then technology also to collaborate online and to deliver those insights? So 10X is really built on the idea that we wanted to deconstruct and re-engineer the whole business insight process and figure out how do we do it much more rapidly, much more cost effectively and efficiently, but at the same time provide those very specialized insights. And when we looked, and we've been doing this for a while, and so we've actually had the opportunity to serve hundreds of clients and do thousands of projects. And what we did recently is kind of took a step back and say, well, where are some of the real pain points? Where have we found that we've done a tremendous amount of work and had the most impact? And it's really in 2 areas. So one is largely what we were just talking about how do we drive growth, oftentimes through new product introduction or taking existing products into new markets. As soon as you think about going out and entering a market in a new way, you immediately have to start asking questions about how does that market work? What are the customers thinking? Whose behavior or ideas have to change for me to be successful? And that immediately means you need to start to go out and understand that market from an external perspective. The other place where we found many of our clients were asking lots of questions is around this question of performance. How can I do what I do better? How can I be like 10X and do it even faster and more efficient? And here, again, oftentimes the answer does not come from looking at within and studying operations from within, but it's by going out and looking at what others are doing in the market, either direct competitors or adjacent peer groups, or maybe even somebody from a totally different industry that has a certain similarity in terms of their basic offering, going and understanding and assessing what they're doing and how much of that can translate to what I'm trying to do to make my delivery of value more efficient. And so driving growth and increasing performance are really the 2 areas that we at 10X focus on. And we do this because what we found is it's very difficult to have the right internal people on your team to get that external perspective when you're trying to do these things. And oftentimes, the existing external resources out there were either too generic, too expensive, or just didn't have quite the right depth to give those answers. So at 10X, what we do is we really provide those insights around how do I grow through new product or new market entry? How do I make my operations or my business more efficient by different pricing strategies, different operational strategies? All of that we do, we think, at a pace and at a price that makes it much more relevant to today's business environment, while at the same time providing those insights at the same very high quality. So if you go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about how we do that. And really, there's two key things. So one is that, and some of these questions have already come up, we put together a qualified virtual team. Most of the questions that we get asked can't be answered by just talking to a single person or reading a single study or report. It really is about synthesizing inputs and information, whether it's across a value chain or ecosystem, or maybe it's within different organizations that are in slightly different positions. So to do that, what we do is we typically put together an on-demand team of both project managers and analysts who do the making sure that the project gets delivered on time and can do a lot of the research and analysis. And at the same time, we complement that with anywhere from 5 to maybe 15, 20 or more experts that engage in the project. And these are the people that are already in the industry, are already in the space that we're interested in. We really want to understand how they think and how they make decisions. We put them all on a platform so that they can collaborate. And then what we do is we make sure that that team has the highest quality individuals. We do that vetting. We manage the teams. We have full-time people that manage the recruiting and organization of those teams. And then we have people that manage the quality of the output and that work very closely with our clients to make sure that what we're delivering is exactly what they need. We've talked a bit about confidentiality. It's come up in some of the questions as well. Oftentimes we do projects that are double-blinded, which means the people that are on our team don't know who the client is, and the client doesn't know the identity of the people on our team, particularly some of the industry experts. Everybody has NDAs in place, obviously, but in that case, it starts to protect people from a confidentiality perspective. When we put this together, the way we achieve these things, then first around the efficiency, because we only pull in the right person at the right time, we don't carry large numbers of people on staff. Because we work virtually, we don't require people to travel. Most of our clients actually don't want a project team on site, which is a holdover from traditional consulting. They prefer to have us distributed. We also take advantage of the global distribution of our people so that we can work 24 hours on projects, which really means that we get the most out of every day. In terms of our insights and our quality, our full-time dedicated team all come with deep experience in both industry and professional services. We have worked with thousands, tens of thousands of people, so we have an experienced bench of both managers and experts who we've worked with in the past, and we know their capabilities. We use referrals all the time. And oftentimes, we bring many more insights than you would typically find on a project. So a typical consulting project with a large consulting firm would maybe employ 3 or 4 people over a fairly long period of time, say several months. We'll do that same project in several weeks, but we'll bring in 20 or 30 different perspectives into that project. So you get much more insight from that point of view. And in terms of the speed, we are set up to respond very rapidly. So questions come in, we'll start a project within 24 hours. That includes identifying and staffing the team. We can put the project together, like I said, in a 24-hour time cycle using the fact that we're distributed globally. And so what we've done is really been able to, what we hear from our clients is be able to engage, put a team together and start providing answers at a pace at which other organizations are still trying to understand whether they can even respond. And so it's this combination of speed, delivery at a much lower overall cost, and yet maintaining the highest value that really defines 10X. So let's go to the next slide.
Hey, Jeff, while that's pulling up, I do have a question for you from the audience. With in regards to 10X and GeniusLink going to the market in parallel. Wouldn't they be competitors, and how do you see that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and Diane can talk about this too, right? So there are many project requests that come into GeniusLink that don't fit what we do at 10X, and so we're one of many vendors that work with the GeniusLink platform that provide answers to certain kinds of questions that require this sort of team-based approach, where it's really about delivering insights into a complex set of issues. So in that sense, we're one of many resources that GeniusLink draws on. At the same time, many of the we're a very small organization, so we rely on GeniusLink to bring many of our customers to us. That's one of the real values of our partnership with GeniusLink. It has such tremendous reach and access and awareness, way beyond what we could ever do on our own. So for us, it's really a very mutually beneficial relationship. GeniusLink brings challenges and clients and opportunities to us that we would never see, and we fill a very specific need within the broader GeniusLink ecosystem around types of questions that we think 10X uniquely answers. So it's really been very successful. We have not had any sort of issue at all about being being competitors in the market. It's quite the opposite. I think we're both flourishing because of this relationship we have.
Great, thanks, Jeff.
So obviously we've done a lot of work directly for GE through the GeniusLink platform. This just gives you an idea of some of the different organizations we've worked with, either through GeniusLink or working directly. I think you can just get a sense of the size and the scope of these organizations, as well as the various different industries. So, we're a very trusted brand out there, although like I said, fairly small in our overall footprint. Organizations that we have worked with work with us again and again because of this unique set of capabilities that we've been able to deliver. So here, this just gives you a little bit better sense of the different industries we work across. So we don't develop industry expertise by hiring full-time industry experts. Instead, what we do is, as our clients' needs in particular industries arise, we build a network of experts, both project managers and subject matter experts in that industry. And that allows us to be very flexible and be very responsive to where the demands are. Many of the use cases might be the same. So benchmarking, for example, is something we do across many different industries. And our approach to it is similar, but the content is obviously very different and the people we engage with is different. And one of the things I'll just say that's key to the success here is the professional crowd. The gig economy represents a huge number of people, as Diane and Barry both highlighted. The key is, finding the right experts out of that huge network. And so a lot of what we spend our time doing and have developed tools to do and continue to develop tools to do is, how do you pluck the 10 or 15 people out of that 21 million for the particular project and need that you have? And that's really the key to what we're doing. And we can do it on an industry basis, and we can then also do it, as you can see, on a very specific project and target basis. And as you can also see here, for example, under health and life sciences, we looked at corporate benefits in Germany, Mexico, and the UK. So we also get quite specific geographically, even though we have a global reach. So this is something in the past a small company could never do without leveraging the huge value and impact of this large collection of the professional gig economy. So if you go to the next slide, what I want to do is hand this over to Andres, who is our Chief Operations Officer and has really built our platform, and have him talk a little bit more detail about some of the industries we've done, and even some of the industries we've worked in, and some of the specific use cases and examples. Hopefully this will start to really bring to light, what we can do and how we pull large numbers of people in quickly on projects. So Andres?
Yes, thank you very much, Jeff, and hi everybody. So this builds on what Jeff mentioned before in terms of what 10X actually does, and as GeniusLink put it, outcomes as a service. And on the left-hand side, you can see the typical use cases, how we support clients, for instance, through GeniusLink, but also other external companies, which is to drive growth and innovation, as well as improve performance. So one of the most typical things we get asked to do is assessing new market opportunities and developing go-to-market strategies. And on the right-hand side, you can see a couple of examples, right? So for instance, we did a couple of projects around digital manufacturing solutions across different sort of sub-verticals and geographies like Latin America, China. We test market receptivity for new products and services and engage with customers in a double-blind way. Customers not knowing who the end client is and thus providing a neutral, objective opinion to test new products. So for instance, around additive manufacturing services and products, we tested customer needs and buying behaviors. We do a lot of industry benchmarking and leading practices. So for instance, a mining company asked us, okay, we are sort of in the process of putting together an asset performance and predictive maintenance software, right? What is the economic impact of other companies that have done this in other industries? What is really the impact, and how do you actually perform this the best way? Other things include looking at innovation centers, how those are structured, organizational best practices. Also, we help teams commercially. We identify and vet new channel partners. So for instance, we have helped companies identify new channel partners for healthcare equipment in Africa, or to sell 3D printers in different geographies. Next slide, please. So this is one specific example, a case study of a project we did in the industrial to manufacturing industry. So this was an example that I briefly mentioned previously, which was about manufacturing software opportunity in China. So we actually put a team together. On the right-hand side, you can see the collaboration managers, which are basically consultants that we vet and train, and then run the project for us, right? So we had somebody in Asia and China with hands-on industry experience in manufacturing from Flextronics, being an industry advisor with a very experienced consultant who has done many projects with us in industrials. And they together worked with industry experts and analysts, which you can see below, which include potential customers, other market participants, just people with knowledge of the industry in the government situation, to put together actual go-to-market strategy, including market size, segmentation, value prop for customers, where to play, how to win, to say it in GE speak. And this outcome basically is a whole report and an actionable go-to-market strategy that we develop with our team together with the end client. So it's also an iterative process with the client. Next step, next slide. We have obviously done projects across different industries. So this is a couple of examples in financial services. Similar use cases apply, right? For instance, testing market receptivity for new products. A company was about to launch a B2B payment and procurement marketplace and solution. And we actually tested it with end customers, whether they would be interested in that solution, what kind of features they would like, would they be willing to pay for it, how much, how do they see other platforms relating to that. And then obviously a lot of other projects in benchmarking, assessing also future technology trends and industry trends. So futurist perspectives is another thing we do. For instance, you see there the future of banking or innovative practices in life insurance. And we also did a project around fraud detection, best practices. So if we go to the next slide, you will see that in a little bit more detail. So here again, we sort of brought on the team a collaboration manager, somebody who is very experienced with machine learning, fraud detection in the financial services industry. And she actually worked closely together with various industry experts from the industry, from financial services and other technology companies, to basically put a plan together, review algorithms for the end client to see how they should actually implement machine learning based fraud detection. Next slide, please.
Hey, real quick question from the audience here. We've got Mohan saying, does 10X focus more on providing full project delivery teams versus more one-off single-person experts?
That is correct. That's exactly correct. And that's also how we define ourselves, as Diane put it, outcome as a service. So what we provide is complete teams and a complete solution, all process controlled, quality controlled, and delivering an outcome.
Good stuff. And then we had another question come through as well. Let me scroll back up to it. It's saw one of our competitors on the list of 10X clients. Have you seen different companies come to you asking for support on similar problems?
Very good questions. Very good question. So we've seen it to a certain extent, although there's so many companies, so many business units out there. So the chance that we get exactly the same request from a competitor in a sort of similar business unit is relatively low. And if that would be the case, we'd obviously have Chinese walls and make sure that there's no confidentiality breach, and we keep separate teams for different types of clients.
Yeah, and just a little follow-up on that too. So although we work with other companies on a project basis, the relationship we have with GeniusLink is actually quite unique. And we don't have that relationship with any other kind of company in the way in which we collaborate on such a broad set of topics and go to market together.
Good stuff. I think that's it for the questions for the moment.
Okay, great. Yeah, a couple of more examples here in healthcare, life sciences, pharmaceuticals. We've done a lot of work in this industry as well. Similar use cases, right? Testing your products, solutions in the market with customers. We do a lot of work around R&D programs, R&D benchmarking, R&D innovation. How are other companies set up to run their R&D? How do they measure return and progress? Again, also identifying potential partners for companies, right? Vendors, suppliers, futuristic trends, and the like. If we go to the next slide, there's one example on the use case of testing a new product. So here the client had a digital drug discovery and development solution product that they wanted to test with actual customers. There was an existing product and they wanted to change the pricing, refine the value proposition, and get input from customers, how they would react to that. So that's what we did in this case. Let me just stop here with the industry examples and the industry slides.
Thanks, Andres. Freddie, we're going to go back to see if there's any further questions on the 10X presentation or the GeniusLink platform at all.
Yeah, so actually we have a couple questions that have been answered in chat that I wanted to just kind of highlight here. And so they are, one of the questions that just popped through was about the virtual pricing. And Diane had thrown in there, the question from Vishal was, hi, can you please share a little bit about pricing policy on the virtual expert services? And the answer was, we keep pricing and process super simple. We just have a quick call with you to understand what works best. And then 1, do you need an outcome and or do you need resources? And 2, would you prefer a project-based approach or would you like a subscription-based approach? So trying to create your own talent cloud. So that was a really great question there. And then I am just popping through here and undoing some of these columns so I can show. And then there was another one that said, for some questions or for some tasks, we need a junior resource for very operational tasks. Is this possible? And the answer was, great question. We have a deep bench of junior resources for very operational tasks. We've supported hundreds of these types of projects for GE teams and customers. And then there was some questions about confidentiality. We actually had 4 questions come through about confidentiality and intellectual property. And the question on that was, we have numerous procedures, and I think we heard Jeff and Andres kind of mention it as well about firewalling. but there's tons of procedures to safeguard intellectual property, confidentiality, strategic intent. Safeguards are an extension of the same procedure we use to safeguard when working on sensitive projects and suppliers internally. So there's also some enhanced measures like NDAs and making sure that the information isn't passed on to the from the sponsor, et cetera. So a lot of great questions on that. But go back to the audience here. Any questions? So I'm going to star out to start a new path here. Any additional questions that people want to ask or that are burning in their mind? Don't want to step on anybody's fingers, but give you a second to type in here. All right, it looks like we don't have anybody typing right now, but if they ask questions, I'll sing out. But I think, Barry, we are back to you guys.
All right. Great. Thank you, Andres. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Freddie. So we're just going to close out now and recap. One thing I would encourage you to do is to reach out to GeniusLink, and we'll share the email address for that very, very shortly. Think about GeniusLink with 10x partnership in relation to your resourcing plan. What it can actually help you do is operate outside your current constraints. It can unlock expertise, capacity, and creativity, and it helps you play around a little bit with an agile strategy to improve results. The other thing I've seen this platform used for is actually freeing up your time and the time of your other experts, and you can actually amplify your own expertise in that way. And ultimately, this service can help solve your challenges. It can help meet your demands, and we have many, and it can help you to hit your moving targets. So when we talk about this service, again, GeniusLink works with 800 vendors. They all offer a differentiated service. We have a phenomenal partnership with 10x, and we just wanted to highlight the benefits of that. So I just want to thank the 10x team for going through that, and thank you to Diane. And just as we close out, there's maybe we can take one or two questions right at the end with Diane and team on the line. But one thing that we find when we're asked about this service quite often is that there's too much change to take anything like this on. It's just too busy. There's too much going on. We have challenges and demands, and that's true, right? And some of the challenges we face is that our strategy is being defined on the fly. It's just literally day by day, and the demand is, I don't care, you got to pivot and execute. When you look at the markets, they're fluid, priorities are shifting. The demand is, you've got to still win in the marketplace. Budgets are stretched. You've got to be on the cutting edge of innovation. You can't hire more people, but you've got to be more productive. So this is the reality of where we're operating today. We need more choice. We need it faster. We need it better quality on a lower cost. And that's where we think the operating system, the expert operating system from GeniusLink comes in. So I'd implore you to think about this option, have this option as part of your toolkit. It really is super simple to get in touch with the team. You just need to hit them upon this email address, and Lisa and the gang will be getting in touch with you after the webinar to give you all the channels that you can use to get in touch with the team. I discovered this service around a year and a month ago, and I haven't really looked back. I'm currently using it to redesign some of our learning activities from start to finish. I never thought I'd get into it, but I did. So there's no obligation. Just give them a call. Give them a help. Diane and the team genuinely care, and they want to help. So I think take the opportunity. And I want to thank you all for the webinar today. Thanks to all the speakers and the participants. Freddie, before we go, are there any final questions from the audience?
Great, Barry, to give us a few more moments. There's a few questions. One in specific, is there a list of, and I think this is to Diane and Jeff, a list of fields of expertise that people could peruse or get access to?
Yeah, I'll take a first stab at that one and then hand it over to Jeff. So that's a good question. The GeniusLink Expert Operating System is designed to first and foremost mirror the expertise that you find in our own company, and then also build out in areas that our company is moving. So in technology areas like AI, AR, VR, and then also address skills categories that our external customers, the GE customers, need help with. In short, the skills categories that are currently represented in the 21 million resources that you see in the GeniusLink network map to over 6,000 skills categories, competency categories. So we ladder that up to a high level skills list. So if you'd like a copy of that, just drop us a quick email and we can get that over to you. Jeff?
Yeah, just very briefly, I would say, you know, we're very unbounded in terms of the actual expertise. I think the thing to focus on for us is the use cases and the industries that we were presenting. That's really where we, I think, kind of map out our capabilities. And then once we've identified there's an industry and a use case that may be relevant, then we custom recruit the actual experts.
Great. Thank you both, Diane and Jeff. That takes us right to the top of the hour, and there's no additional questions. There was a comment to the panelists about thank you for this presentation. It's clearly a very powerful platform and partnership, so cheers and thanks. And for all of those attending, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you very much for your participation. Hope this was a useful spend of your time, and hope you have a marvelous weekend. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.